I think many of us have that special park that has been a part of our lives for whatever reason. Perhaps it's the park where we forged our first memories, the park where we grew up in, appreciating nature, learning things. For me, it was personally my local park where I learned to draw a bow for the first time, where I shot my first arrow, where I was a Cub Scout learning to make fire for the first time in hopes to become a Boy Scout. Unfortunately, I never learned how to make fire. I never got the illustrious title of Boy Scout. I was forever stuck a Cub Scout. But that's besides the point. The point is that I had this park, this cherished place, where I flew a kite for the first time. I cast it out in the river for the first time. I went swimming into a lake for the first time, had my first birthday party here, roasted my first marshmallow in the camping area. Now imagine my surprise knowing that I could have been roasting a marshmallow, and instead of me smelling the marshmallow, the sweet pleasant aroma of the sugar that I'm roasting, I start smelling the decaying corpse of a man. Allow me to take you on a stroll through the story of Penny Pospisil and how and why she dismembered a poor disabled man in my once beloved childhood park of Wickham Park. Now allow me to set the scene of the illustrious Wickham Park. A scenic drive winds through the park's open areas, pine woods and lakes. Camping, community events, and special interests and equestrian activities are hosted at the expansive park. The park does boast their pine forest with 133 campsites with water, electric, and sewer hookups. Now, these campsites are the particular ones we'll be focusing on, as this was the campsite where Penny committed her heinous crime. Now, I would like to also mention Wickham Park, again, hosted many a birthday, many a field trip, many field days, and just countless beautiful memories for me. This place really was great. They have everything. I mean, a disc golf course, horseshoe pits, a volleyball courts, an archery area. Like I mentioned, it's where I learned to draw a bow for the first time. Great playgrounds and their soccer fields, as it's home of Space Coast United Soccer. I've also used the trails. There's beautiful nature, exercise trails, and a dog park. So this place really does have it all. What we're focusing on here is the campgrounds. I'll be showing you a lay of the land. I'm definitely getting footage here of the parts of the park that I would frequent. I'll also show you guys exactly where Miss Penny committed her crimes. Penny Rebecca Pospisil. The last name rather annoys me to say. She kind of just annoys me altogether as a person. We're just going to refer to her as Penny. I would say Penny P, but she's not deserving of a cool nickname there. While at the Lake Pan RV Village, 51-year-old woman, Penny, she annoys me so much I don't even care to get her name correct. So if you hear me call her Peggy, Penny, Patricia, deranged, loony bat, that's her, that's Penny. While at the Lake Pan RV Village, 51-year-old Penny murdered Anthony Mitchell, 55 years old, in 2018 in Sumter County, according to authorities. So she did not actually murder him at my local park. The murder actually occurred about a couple hours away in Sumter County. With the body in the camper, Penny then drove 2 hours to her place of residence in Brevard County and lived with the body in the RV that contained her boyfriend's decomposing body. Now, let me paint that again for you. She drove 2 hours with the corpse after murdering Mr. Mitchell, and then proceeded to live with the decomposing body for an upwards of 6 months. This sick, deranged sewer creature not only was able to have the mental capacity to drive, and I say this because there's been no proof yet of mental illness. Obviously, you have to be in some kind of deranged state to be able to do these heinous acts and crimes, but let's continue. So how did Penny get caught? I mean, she seems extremely intelligent. Let's see what eventually tipped authorities off. Penny's arrest on December 30th, 2019 was led by continuous complaints from her neighbors about the stench that came from the camper. So now Penny is in my hometown at my beloved Wickham Park. At this time, I was probably there on a nature trail, perhaps walking my friend's dog, and I legitimately could have been feet, maybe meters away from her and the decomposing body of Mr. Mitchell. When asked about her boyfriend's whereabouts, the woman, who's sentenced to life currently, spoiler, told the inquirers that Mitchell was cremated after he had died of natural causes. She had the audacity to tell friends or family members of Mitchell. Now, there was not too much info on the man, being relatively homeless, disabled, as was Penny. It seems their lives were not entirely online, and it seems they did not have many people in their lives altogether. Unfortunately for Mr. Mitchell, it seemed the only person he could really rely on at this point was Penny. I do wish there was more information on the actual relationship so we could see the dichotomy of how things ended up with Mr. Mitchell being dismembered and how they began this quest of love and death back in 2016 in Sumter County. Alright, so this wacky excuse of a human is telling people that knew Mitchell, that he had died of natural causes of cancer and she had him cremated. After she was taken into custody, Penny told investigators that she was a victim of abuse and claimed that she killed him in self-defense. So all 3 charges against her, she finally pleaded guilty in October 2022. Earlier this month, prosecutors who argued that the woman deserved the maximum sentence, as they wrote in a sentencing memo that her slaying of Mitchell was brutal and heinous, and before he was strangled to death, he suffered violent blunt force trauma injuries from a weapon. So, this man was beaten to death, presumably by a bat, as it was blunt force trauma, something of that nature. Now, she is beating this man to death. It leads to his death, and she is strangling him to ensure that he is gone. Like, what is the motive here? This isn't just a spat between 2 lovers. I mean, you're not gonna take your dead beloved into an RV camper like you are Insano-style Walter White, who took his own meth, did the meth, and is now batshit crazy. I mean, I don't know what the motive or logic is yet, but let's continue. His body tissues were intentionally degraded by Penny to the point that he was unrecognizable. I believe this is where the dismemberment starts, after she had killed him with the blunt force trauma and the strangling. She began to tear into his tissue and just degrade it. They don't get super specific in any source that I have read into, but I mean, I don't want to even visualize her degrading his tissue anyway. It just honestly sounds like another Dahmer situation here. According to the details in the memo, notably absent from the crime scene were his heart and other internal organs. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this gets darker. Now, this shit stain of a person removed his heart and other internal organs. Anthony Mitchell's genitals were severed from his decaying body as well, calling it a workmanlike dismemberment, the prosecutors wrote. This was a vicious and abhorrent killing that was further underscored by the defendant's ongoing efforts to conceal the crime. Following the horrifying murder, Penny benefited from Mitchell after she collected his Social Security benefits, accessed his bank accounts, and stole his credit cards. There you go. There you have it, everyone. Money is the root of all evil, and money is the root of all people. We have a spectrum here for how evil that spans, for what you're willing to do for that money. In this instance, it looks like dismembering and driving around town with your decomposing boyfriend in an RV camper to live with him for 6 months is the spectrum that Penny is on. Me, I'd like to think that it would just be evading tax money if I ever become rich, but even then, I'm just kidding, IRS. I'm just kidding. Anyway, that was the motive here. It came down to money. She was cashing in his Social Security checks after he had passed, which I'm not sure if they had some kind of arrangement with his bank. She was a caretaker / lover, but she benefited financially off of his death for, I'd say, close to a year before actually getting caught. For the 2018 murder of slaying Anthony Mitchell, Penny faces 1 count of second-degree murder and life behind bars. For the abuse of a dead human body, Judge Hatcher also ordered the murderer to serve 15 years consecutive to the life sentence, and also for grand theft of more than $300 but less than $20,000. Penny has been ordered to serve 5 years. So, I mean, she got the life sentence, 15 years consecutive. I mean, at this point, she's done. She'll be dying in that prison, and rightfully so. So I just kind of wanted to share with you guys, and also, this does hit very close to home. That's why I also have the footage here of where it happened, because, I mean, these things don't happen too often, especially in your hometown. There's not a lot of coverage on this story anywhere. Like I said, I wish I had more information on her and Mr. Mitchell as well. That way I could at least try to post some kind of donation fund for Mr. Mitchell and his family. But there really just is not any information out there, aside from the official police reports on Penny. So the next time you go camping, and if you smell something strange, tell someone. And if you're in a bad part in your life, a bad spot, you're disabled, you become disabled, and you're not financially well off, just try. Go for programs. I know the government's not always efficient or even close to it, but stay away from toxic, crazy pennies, please. But Alright guys, I know this was far different from my first video, which was the spicy pepper challenge. Like I mentioned, there's not going to be a concrete layout what the channel is going to be. Stuff that I'm passionate about, that interests me, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for being with me and exploring the sick story of Penny. I hope the footage of the park and the crime scene is of interest as well. And please guys, if there's any feedback, anything you might want me to cover, I'm very new to editing and making content altogether. So any feedback at all to grow or anything you guys would like to see, just go ahead and leave in the comments. And yeah, here comes the cringy. Please leave a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. Oh god, I feel so cringe. But really guys, I appreciate you all. Thank you. Until next time.